Well, things are finally starting to set in motion for this season, and we might have just had the first character from Season 1 that might actually not die. Hey guys, Cameron for Wayward Pines, Season 2, Episode 4, Exit Strategy, and I was really looking forward to this episode. I've been enjoying this season overall, but you guys know the one constant thing about the season that's really been pissing me off is that they introduced characters from Season 1 only to kill them off in that exact same episode. And luckily, this is the first episode where that actually doesn't happen. We have a character that seems like he's going to stay on for more than one episode. Now, it is strange that out of all the characters, they pick this character to spare. We'll get into that. But actually, legitimately, a lot of things happen this episode. It definitely seems like they're starting to use the main cast more. It shows, this episode I think was definitely a really good showcase for characters like Xander and CJ, characters like that. I think we definitely saw that really well. That was something I definitely really did enjoy. But Theo had barely anything to do in this episode, but I thought that was okay because we got to focus more on the secondary characters, and we definitely did that really well. There are some weird directions we're going into. Now, was it the perfect episode? No, I do think there was some problems, but let's just get into this episode because there is a lot to talk about, and I like the way this episode starts because it answers a question that has been in our minds for a while, obviously. I mean, as we know, from episode 2, Ben was supposedly killed, of course, by the Abbies, and we know that Xander was with him, and we don't know what happened to Xander. And this episode right away tells exactly what happened to Xander. We see Xander's waking to water dripping on his forehead. He's down a hole. He sees daylight up above. He sits up and then stands to look. It looks like he's been dropped down a well. He calls it for Ben, then begins to climb his way up, and an Abbie growls at him. He drops back into the hole. The Abbie jumps in after him and they fight, and Xander gets into a chokehold. It growls and goes limp, and he grabs a rock, bashes his head in with a squish. And that scene really was crazy, but the way we were able to see that Xander was able to take out the Abbie, I don't know if I necessarily believe it, that he's able to take down Abbie that quickly. To me, it was kind of just convenient. It seemed like, oh, Xander's the main character, so we have to make sure that he lives, and just the fact that he's able to take out an Abbie, I don't know if it's trying to show that the, Wayward Pines, people in Wayward Pines are getting smarter, but I think it's probably the first time. Here's my question. If Xander could take out an Abbie so well, why didn't this go through Ben's head? Why didn't this go through anyone's head who's faced an Abbie before? Why all of a sudden, was Xander so quick to kill an Abbie? Yeah, no one else really thought about that. That just seemed a bit odd to me that happened. But an Abbie then growls at him, and he drops back into the hole, and, I just read this, so Xander then climbs up out of the well, collapses on the ground, and he's out. He's out of the well. Obviously, he's trying to deal with, deal with what he just did and everything. And I like that they don't really care that Ben's dead. I mean, clearly they don't really pay much attention to it. They do show Teresa in this episode, but we'll get into that in a second. Theo then comes out of his house for a run, hears the morning announcement on the PA, then tells him to live a normal life, and basically, we know that their life is anything but normal, so they can't really do that, and basically, Megan reports on pregnancies to Jason and Carrie, and she promises an update on the lab research later this week. Carrie asks her to have Theo help, and Megan disagrees, but Carrie pushes on the point and has to cave, and Carrie says they need to get Theo to try and speed up the resident training, and that's the best thing to do. So CJ's really annoyed. He thought that the meeting was about crops. He says nothing matters that they can't eat. And obviously, he's most concerned about them having food because, they're on a food shortage. And Jason asks him to stay. CJ says the food supply must grow and they need to find new sites. He says they need soil studies, irrigation, other efforts. And CJ says when the Abbies are treated, they can work without fear. Because again, they feel like the Abbies are gone, which we can tell they're not. But Carrie said they could come back. And Megan says that it sounds ambitious. Jason takes CJ's side. Megan plays the pilcher card, but Jason says that David would want them to survive and be bold. He would want them to be able to move on from this and overcome it. And he asks Megan how she can be against securing food, because honestly, yeah, food should be important, but it's not the most important thing right now. That's the thing I think CJ doesn't realize, that survival is the thing that's most important. Food is important, but obviously, there's no food if there's no survival. If no one survives, how are they going to have food, obviously? There's no reason to have food if there's no survival. So it's kind of a hand-in-hand thing. And basically, Jason takes CJ's side, and Jason endorses CJ's plan, but says he gets Megan's concerns, but says they have to do it, and basically comes to a compromise. So Xander is at a creek, scoops up some water, he's being watched, he sits and rests, and it was just kind of bizarre to follow Xander around so much, because we barely spend any time with this character, and so far all we've gotten is that he clearly is against what the town is doing, but we do get to see a little more of him this episode. But then we get introduced to this this character who I don't even really remember, to be honest with you. Adam Hasler, I kind of remember this guy. This was the guy, if you remember, that was an agent with Ethan and Kate, but those characters are long gone, and this character hasn't been around since, I believe, episode 9 of last year, and that's a lot of time for us to remember a character. And I'm going to be honest, when I first saw him, I'm like, I don't remember who this guy is, and he's there, grabs him, holds a knife to his throat. He asks if Xander is a nomad and if David sent him. Xander tells him that David is dead, and he lets Xander go and asks if Pam is in charge. Xander says that Pam killed David and went missing, and of course, Xander has no idea that Pam's actually killed, and I do like seeing that from Xander's perspective, but it just kind of felt like an unreliable narrative, just the way it's done, because Xander has no idea really what's going on. He says a kid's in charge named Jason. He asks where they are. Xander tells him he woke up in a pit, and Adam says that the Abbies do a lot of things. He's surprised to learn David sent a lot of them out there looking for survivors. Adam says all he found was Xander, who keeps following him, and it felt very weird. It just felt weird to introduce, out of all the characters we introduce Adam, it just felt weird to introduce him. So Rebecca's at her salon and sees Lucy freaking out because she got her period, and that means a lot more in this world than you think it does. You know, Lucy is scared, asks how old she was when she was paired up, and Rebecca says it was different back then, and basically we learn that when you get your period in this world, you know, if you're a girl and you get your period, you're not just, you know, becoming a woman, you're paired up with someone, you're forced to breed with them, and you're gonna have children, and it's crazy, it really is. I mean, Lucy's a young, like, 13-year-old kid. It's kind of just, it's really messed up, I gotta say, and it's one of the things that I kind of like that they did, but it just feels really weird, and it doesn't feel natural. It just feels really strange, and I get that she's supposed to be the first generation and that they want them to survive, obviously, I understand that, but basically, Rebecca says she will like one of the boys they offer, but Lucy says she can't be a mom and begs her not to make her go back. Rebecca says she has to, or they'll figure it out, and she hugs the girl, and she clearly is on her side, but it just felt like a very weird scene, the way that was done. I mean, I like the direction it's headed, and I do like the relation between Rebecca and Lucy, but it just felt very strange, and the direction this is headed, it just overall is really bizarre, and probably the one thing that is just really bizarre about this episode. So Xander and Adam and Solidify are talking. Adam says that Abbie sent a scout, and if you can capture me, you can get away. He says there's a method to the Abbies, but you have to survive long enough to learn it, and Xander says he's Group B, woke up 5 years ago, and Adam asks why he's out there, and he says he colored outside the lines. Adam says it's a harsh punishment. He agrees. Adam says he's going home to see someone. He says they might put Xander back out there, and the guards are playing guards when they hear a proximity alarm. Mario says let's go over the fence. They see Chew incoming. They open the gate for Xander and Adam. Adam walks past them without blinking. Theo does a checkup on Adam. They make introductions since they don't know each other at all, and this was the one thing I didn't like with this episode, is that this felt very much the same exact thing as last week, where Theo's just trying to get answers out of Adam, and if every character we introduce to is just another chance for Theo to get answers, it's really annoying. I really want them to do something else with these characters than just giving them answers to Theo, because that's all it seems like they're doing. The only reason it seems like some of these characters are here is because they're there to give answers to Theo, and it's kind of annoying the way that's done. I really am not a fan. I think that's something that's definitely very annoying, and Adam in this episode does serve more purpose than that. It's just, out of all the characters, it felt very bizarre that he's still here, and Theo asks why he went out there, how far he got. Theo asks if they're alone, and Adam doesn't answer, and then he says that they're not our enemies, they're our replacements, and Theo asks what that means, and Adam grunts and lies back, and yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, it's clear that Abbies are not their enemies, they're just their replacement, that humans are dying, the human population is dying out, and Abbies are gonna be, you know, their replacements, and Adam grunts and lies back. Theo pulls up his shirt. By the way, I forgot to say, Adam looks like the hairy caveman this episode. Just what they did to him, I thought was really weird. Like, why does he have long hair? Why does he have a beard? I get that he's been out there for so long, but it's been 2 years. I mean, it's really crazy. Theo pulls up his shirt, sees scars in his abdomen, and Jason asks Theo how Adam is doing. He refused to break confidentiality, and Jason says at a different time, Jason wants to know if Adam is mentally stable, and Jason says that Adam's a hero, and the only nomad who ever returned. It's big news for Wayward Pines, and Theo tells him to go ask Adam. Jason says you only care for people when they're sick. Jason says the people are his responsibility all the time, and remember, Theo's the only doctor, and Theo asks what about Pam, says she knows that she's dead. Jason says he loses sleep over protecting those people and scoffs at Theo's attitude, and you can tell that this is really affecting him, but I still don't really see the point in killing Pam. Like, what really has that done to the story? Nothing, really. It hasn't served us anything, it hasn't done anything, and Adam then wakes up from a nightmare about stabbing an Abbie, and you can can tell that he has a bit of PTSD. He's worried that everything is about an Abbie, and he pulls his jacket on and groans. He sees an Abbie into his hospital room door. He's hallucinating. He shakes it off, but is freaked out, and he's really just terrified of Abbies. And then we see Arlene. She goes running after him, says she got him a haircut appointment and a mani-pedi. He staggers away, and we get this really bizarre scene where some kids are doing a play about the first generation, and David's face is hanging above them on stage like an icon, and the kids sing about not discussing the past, and we're reminded that was a big part last season, how they can't discuss the past, and now they can. So Lucy's upset as she watches, realizing that she's part of this and really, the rules and everything. She gets up, runs out of the auditorium. She's outside against a wall hiding, and Megan rolls up on her, asks if she's alright. She asks about her extra bathroom breaks, and Lucy says it's something she ate. Megan acts like she believes her, and she knows really what's going on. A guy asks what's wrong after Megan leaves, and you can tell that Megan knows really what's happening here, because Lucy says she thinks Megan knows, but he says he won't say anything, and, Megan just... I don't really like, it's a weird story. I like where it's headed. I think it's interesting, and I really do care for Lucy, but it's just kind of bizarre the direction they're taking this in. I understand that's the point, but it just feels really weird, and it doesn't really feel any weirder than, they don't want you, it's clear they don't want it to feel weird, but it just feels very strange, and I really can't latch onto it in the way the show wants me to. So Adam then staggers down Main Street. Everyone stares. He's having Abbie flashbacks, and Teresa sees him, follows him down an alley, and there's literally no point in having Teresa still on this show. I mean, now that Ben's gone, I get that Teresa's still here, but now we got a problem, because Ben's dead. There's no purpose left for Teresa, except now she's going to be in this really stupid situation with Adam, and probably my least heard stuff in this episode was Teresa and Adam. Honestly, their stuff came on, I just tuned off. I was not in the episode. I thought it was boring as shit, and she follows him down an alley. She says his name, and he stares. He asks where is Ethan, she says gone. She says they also put Ben outside the fence, then asks if he saw her son. Adam says he didn't see him. She curses him for sending Ethan there. She says Adam knew all along and was working with David, and she says her family is all gone because of him and because they trusted him, and she walks away in disgust. And I understand obviously why she's upset, but if she's just there to, moan and groan and brood about her family, it's going to be really annoying, because I really want Teresa to have more of a purpose than that. I want her to have this genuine relation with Rebecca. I want her to do more with that, and they're just not really doing anything with her at this point. They're just kind of having her just brooding around, and that's what this entire episode is. It's just like episode 2, where every scene was her, where's my son, where's my son? This entire episode is, oh, I hate you for doing this to my family, curse you, curse you. It's just, it's ridiculous. I hate it, it's really stupid, and Carrie then studies Xander's file, then goes see him. He's at the ice cream parlor. Probably my favorite scene in this episode. Xander himself, the actor, just has a lot of wit, and he's a very charming actor, and I really like the guy overall. I think just did a really good job. He has a lot of he's very charismatic, and you definitely see that in this scene. She says the kids will be excited he's back, asks for the flavor of his day. He says corn. She says Adam won't talk, and Jason is still deciding his fate, and she said Jason knows he was stealing weapons for the rebels, and says his survival made him a bit of a hero. Xander says he won't make trouble and makes a joke. Carrie says it's his second chance for the 10th time, and she asks how he made it out there and if Adam helped him, and Xander says he's the one who helped Adam. He says that Abbies aren't just dumb animals, and says there's a method to them if you can survive long enough to learn it, and they need to treat them like they have a method, because like I said, you can tell the Abbies are really smart, and they really do know what they're doing. They clearly want the population for themselves. They'll do whatever they can to occupy said population, and he repeats Adam's words, then lies and says he can't even talk to Adam for them since they bought it. He's trying to keep himself safe, and Adam sits boozing on a bunch. The kid eats an ice cream cone, watches him. There's an Abbie that attacks the kid. He's hallucinating again. Adam drops the bottle, runs off, and Teresa then watches him from across the street. Theo tells Rebecca what Adam said about them being the replacement, and Theo says now they're sending people outside the fence. She wants him to tell Jason basically what's going on, that they're doing that, and he says he won't put Jason's fate in his hands. She said it's not just his, and, it's really not just him that's going to put his fate in his hands. So Frank meets with Megan, and Lucy's brother is very uncomfortable. She says she wanted to remind him of David's greatest gift to them, life. She says life is precious, and each must contribute. Megan says there can't be secrets among the first generation or her. Frank asks if she wants him to rat people out. She says it's being honest, and she doesn't like the word. She asks him to help her with Lucy. He says she's not ready, and he has to protect her, and he knows obviously that, Lucy is ready to procreate. He doesn't want her to have to procreate, and just this entire storyline is just really creepy, and it's really weird, and I get that that's the point, but it's just really weird, and just thinking of a young 13-year-old kid or something like that, basically being forced to breed and have babies and have sex sex. I mean, it's just really fucked up, and I get that that's obviously, maybe normal nowadays because kids, have sex at a young age, but it's weird. It's really weird, and I'm sorry, it's not normal. It's really not, and I get that, but it's just weird, and it's a very weird direction they've taken this in. Megan says she's blooming, becoming a woman should be celebrated. She says they encourage a natural way to live. She can serve a higher purpose. Megan takes his hand. She says she knows what he wants, what's best for his sister. And then Megan says they need to do what's best for Wayward Pines. And Theo's them with CJ at the greenhouses. CJ says he does know how long they will be gone. Theo says the Abbies have problem-solving capabilities, and CJ is underestimating them. He talks about them building ladder with their bodies and sacrificing some to achieve the goal. CJ scoffs since Theo hasn't been there long, and CJ says this is not about water or corn, but the people they leave behind, the ones that can't come with them, because obviously they were chosen, and there are people that they left behind that have no idea this is going on, and CJ says they offer them hope, and basically that's what they want. They want to offer them this hope, and you definitely get that message that CJ really wants to provide hope, and really wants to, to think that things are going to get better. Now, we can tell that things really aren't going to get better, but I think they want to have that hope that definitely things are going to get better, and you don't really know if that's actually going to happen. So Rebecca and Lucy watch a line of vehicles leaving and go explore outside the fence. Xander watches too, waves his hand to wave at Rebecca. Teresa stops CJ's trucks, asks to come along. She says she wants to find her son. He asks what about Adam, and she says he's not my problem. She gets in the vehicle and they go. The gate opens and a line of vehicles roll out into Abbie territory. Rebecca comes to the ice cream shop, asks if Xander's okay. He says he's still there and says I see her husband is awake. She asks if Jason is leaving him alone. He says he offered info about the Abbies and has to come up with something, and he says he's trying to stay alive, and she agrees. She asks if Jason's leaving him alone. He says he offered info about the Abbies and has to come up with something. And he says he's trying to stay alive, and she agrees. Xander offers his licorice and says he's thinking of calling them Wayward Vines, which that was just a really stupid pickup line. I get what he was trying to do, but that was just really dumb, and Xander's not, the way they're trying to incorporate humor, some it works, some it doesn't, and that really didn't work at all. Rebecca finds Megan in the shop with Lucy. Megan says Lucy needs to come with her, meet her obligations, and Rebecca asks her to step outside, because obviously, she wants to try to help Lucy. Megan says they have all the duty to spread the human race, says Rebecca failed in this. Rebecca says you can preserve humanity and be humane at the same time. Basically, there's a way to, there has to be a middle. You don't have to just be so extreme about it, and Rebecca says, this is primitive to make children have children. Megan says Lucy has no choice. Rebecca says she won't let her hurt Lucy, and she's not going to let Lucy have to go through it, so Lucy clearly doesn't want to, and she's not going to force her to do something she's not comfortable with, and Megan says she'll see Jason in 30 minutes and will report her, and Rebecca says report what? They need to be reckoned or reined in. She rolls Megan out of her shop, asks if she wants to pick that fight, and I like that Rebecca is actually trying to make a change here. She is trying to change things. Megan tells her she's being self-destructive. Rebecca tells Lucy to come back inside so she can spend the night with her tonight, and, Rebecca remembers the days when this was, it was not so bad of a society, and it wasn't as bad as it was now. She remembers those days, and I think she kind of wants to go back to those, and I'm wondering if Rebecca is going to try to make a change, which I did like seeing. So CJ and Teresa are with the others outside the walls. CJ says the world is still beautiful. They make camp. Teresa goes poking around, goes over to Adam. She asks why he came back and if he's trying to help her. He says yes. Teresa says the harvester saw Ben, and CJ builds a large fire, and she doesn't even find out in this episode that her son is dead, which is really dumb. CJ talks to Adam, who walks away from him abruptly, really wanting nothing to do with him. Adam goes into the woods, looks around. Teresa hears the men talking and wakes. She comes out of her tent and listens. She goes to look at the body on the ground. She uncovers it, starts crying. She stares at Adam with hate, basically thinking that Adam killed her son. That's what she's thinking, that Adam is the one that killed Ben, and the fact that she think that, I thought was really dumb. The fact that she thought that Adam was responsible for this, I mean, it's not Adam's fault. He clearly has PTSD. He didn't really know what was going on, so he really couldn't do anything there. Just really bizarre overall, just a really weird way to do this, and just introducing Adam, I just don't care. I really don't care about this storyline. And honestly, Teresa, like I said, just doesn't really serve much of a purpose now, because now her son is dead. I mean, she just doesn't have much to do except to cry, and it's really annoying. If she's just gonna cry all season and just brood, I'm gonna be really pissed off, because I hate it when characters do that. I mean, it's fine to brood and grieve, but you gotta move on. You gotta move on, and clearly Teresa doesn't want to. So Rebecca introduces Lucy to Theo, sends the girls upstairs, and he asks where are her parents, and she says they died on invasion day, and Megan lives with other orphans. She tells them that Lucy got her period a few days ago, and they want her in the fertility program. Theo is stunned since the kid is literally 11, and he asks if, not even 12, she's 11, and he asks if they inseminate the girls, but she says they pair them up, put them in procreation rooms, and do things the old-fashioned way. He says old-fashioned is six-pack in the backseat of a car, not kids, and it's not how it works, kids aren't supposed to just do this stuff, and Theo asks who pairs them. She says she doesn't know, but it's not one person, and especially not by choice. I mean, remember, this is not even by choice. They're basically forced to do this, and he says it's eugenics, she knows it. Rebecca agrees, says she's trying to protect Lucy, and that's why she brought her home, and I like that these two are trying to make a change. I like they know what's going on. I definitely did like seeing that. So Theo says CJ told him they're going outside to give them hope, not food. Theo says when one thing seems rational, two more things pop up that are crazy. He says it's not living, it's survival. And next day Lucy's at school. Frank approaches her. She says she knows he told Megan and she hates him. She walks off. Frank sits alone watching other kids play basketball. Later he motes in the dorms of the orphanage. He puts on a hoodie, goes outside, walks down the street. He sits on a bench, pulls out a sandwich, and the carousel lights up. And if you remember, the last time we saw the carousel was when Ben discovered what happened in the town and starts spinning nearby. He looks over at it and goes to look. Abruptly, the power goes out. It darkens, slows to a stop. There's an Abbie in town. There's now an Abbie on the loose, which perfectly gives me the opportunity to study this Abbie, and that's the way this episode ends. But let's get in this episode overall, because there definitely is a lot to talk about. So overall, a lot happened in this episode, but also a lot is not happening, and that's something I really am pissed off with this episode, because while I really enjoyed a lot of stuff here, and I like that we focused more on some of our characters, a lot of our characters just aren't really that interesting. I mean, Xander, so far, the purpose of his character is that he helped Adam, and he basically caused the problem of Adam being here and everything, and he knows that obviously the Abbie is, they aren't stupid, but other than that, he's just not doing much. He feels like an extra character right now, and it's just not, the actor's really good, I'm gonna say that, the actor that's playing Xander is a very good actor, it's just the character right now, he feels like an extra character that shouldn't be there. It makes sense why they haven't featured him much, because he really doesn't do much here. I do like where CJ's head, though. I like that CJ's very focused on crops, because yeah, it is a problem. Obviously, they need food, they need harvesting, and no one seems to really care about that. And I like that we saw that. I like that we saw his concern for that. Now, Theo and Rebecca, it really does seem like these two do want to make a change. They actually do want to change things. They want to turn this town around, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they're actually going to try to do something. Are they going to be able to stop Lucy? I don't really know. I mean, obviously, Megan, and Jason and Carrie, they want Lucy to procreate. That's just how things go. Carrie, I don't know if she's, so into it, but, we know that Jason and Megan are. Carrie, I feel like, kind of has her own agenda, but she doesn't really get her voice heard. But, I feel like those two, they are going to try to turn things around. They don't want this to happen to Lucy. I think Rebecca knows this is the way things go, but I think Theo is destined to change things, and I'm hoping that they'll be able to change things, because that'd be awesome if they could. I don't know if they will, but I have this feeling that they're going to try to, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually are successful with that. Adam and Teresa, I don't give a fuck what's going on here. I really don't. I mean, I have no idea where they're going with the storyline. The fact that Teresa's crying, the fact that Adam is just some guy with PTSD, there's no reason to introduce him. I don't even know what the point of introducing him back on the show was, except for the fact that he has knowledge that these Abbies aren't bad, and that the Abbies aren't stupid and that they're actually very intelligent. I mean, anyone with a brain could know that the Abbies aren't dumb. I mean, you could tell the Abbies clearly know what they're doing, and they're not dumb. You can definitely tell. I mean, the humans are probably dumber for it, and he's just not really doing anything for me right now. And anything with Teresa, like I said, I just tuned out. I don't know why Teresa's still on the show. If any character should have gotten killed off, it's Teresa. And Adam should have gotten killed off last season. I don't even know why he's here. And keep in mind, guys, these are only two characters left from season 1. Everyone else is dead. Every other character has died, except for Pope. I don't know what the hell happened to him. He's somewhere, but, Teresa and Adam are only characters left, and that's really pissing me off, that of all the characters to keep, those are the two. I mean, the two characters should be here are Ben and Pam. Those two should be here. Teresa could have been here if Ben was here, but Ben and Pam should still be here. I don't know why they killed them off. There really was no point in doing that, and the only thing we've seen is that Jason, feels kind of bad that he killed Pam, and then Teresa Teresa's brooding over Ben. That's really all it's done to the show. It's done absolutely nothing besides that, and it's really annoying. And it only seemed like they killed off Ben so they could keep Xander around. It's really pissing me off. That is the only reason they killed off Ben. That really seems like that's the only reason they did that. Overall, guys, though, I'm enjoying the season, definitely, but just not enough is happening. I gotta say, we're on episode 4, and there's not a lot happening. I mean, yeah, there's an Abbie in town, but it seems like we're gonna use this Abbie to get information out of it, and I just don't really feel the way the show is going. I mean, it seemed like we were going to more action direction, and there hasn't been much action. This was a very slow episode, and not that that was bad. I like that we did get to know some of the characters. It's just some of the characters we're following aren't that interesting. CJ's really interesting. I do like what we're doing with him. I like where we're going with his character. Theo and Rebecca, obviously, I really do enjoy it, but Xander, especially, I just am not really into his character. He's not really doing much for me. Now, look, I will say this, that I am happy that they didn't just instantly kill off Adam when he was introduced in this episode, but just out of all the characters to keep around, why do we keep the most, least essential characters of last season? Especially Adam, who was literally there for 4 episodes. He didn't do much of anything. He investigated into Ethan's murder, he ended up in the town, and that was it. I don't really know why he's still on the show. We never really need to reintroduce him. I completely forgot about what happened with this character, and it seemed like the show was trying to get rid of everything from season 1, so why we're keeping Adam around, I'm not really sure. I just think that's really weird overall, and, even though the show did correct that, this season is slowly starting to lose me. I mean, the first 2 episodes were really great. I thought it was definitely different. They went in some really good directions with the show. Episode 3 kind of pissed me off with Pam's death, and this episode pissed me off even more because, again, nothing is really happening, and it really just, I still don't really see the point in the show continuing. I don't really know. I mean, I understand they're trying to explore the Abbies more, but right now it just doesn't really, I don't see the point in continuing the show for me. Like I said, the season's slowly starting to lose me, and I really hope next season they pick up the pace. Episode 5 was really when I loved season 1 of Wayward Pines, so hopefully next week, episode 5, is just as good as that episode. But overall, guys, I know you guys saw this episode. For me, I really want this show to start going somewhere because it's not really doing much of anything, and it needs to go somewhere. It needs to find, a balance. It needs to realize what it needs to do because there's a lot of things the show should be doing, and it's not. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. What do you think of Adam's return? I thought it was completely unnecessary, honestly. And we'll see you guys in the next video, which will be for Bloodline. I know I have been very behind with Bloodline, but guys, I am still reviewing that show. I will review episode 4, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.